Those cardiac cats made it interesting again, but in the end, UC came away with a fourth straight win. We'll talk about it with Terry Nelson. Plus,
they help me a lot, especially with my Tourette's, because it's just the way I can just focus on something, just be one of the guys, not have to worry about people looking at me a little weird, just play.
One elder athlete is passing it forward, how Mike Kirch is using sports to share his message about living with Tourette's. And Xavier is back after yet another setback with COVID-19. Ran into some trouble against the renewed conference foe UConn. We'll ask Steve Wolf what he thinks about his Musketeers.
From WCPO 9 Sports, this is Sports of All Sorts.
What up? Welcome to Sports of All Sorts. I'm Reggie Wilson. For the first time in what feels like forever, we finally got some normalcy with the sports scene around the tri-state. UC and Xavier basketball both playing this weekend, and we also got a bonus with some football starting up at Thomas More. The Reds are also set to start spring training soon. More on that later in the show, but we start tonight with some hoops. Bearcats hosting UCF, trying to get to 500 this season. Chris Vogt throws it down. 2 of his 11 points gives the Bearcats a 10-point lead. UC got 30 strong minutes from Micah Adams-Woods off the bench. Call that the hot corner. 3 of his 13 points, Bearcats up by 1 at the break. Let's go to the second half. Keith Williams, shake and bake, hot sizzle. For the reverse, he tied for a team-high 14 points. Tie game now. David DeJulius changes that. 3-ball, splash. He's not done. A little later on the break, after a steal, he goes coast to coast for the layup, gives the Bearcats a 7-point lead. Coach Brandon called him the closer. I just say he's in his bag. Everything working today. He scored 14 points. UCF tried to steal it late, but the freshman, Mason Madsen, hits a big free throw to put the game away. Those cardiac cats win again. 69-68 is the final.
When you playing for Cincinnati, you got to have a swagger. You got to have a pride about you. And we weren't playing Cincinnati basketball. We weren't playing tough. We had to kind of band together and really realize that what kind of team we're on, what kind of coach we're playing for, and what type of players we wanted to. So we just had to buckle down.
Our guys are now understanding what it takes to be successful, and that's defense. And since they've done that, they gained some momentum. We're more connected defensively, which makes us more connected offensively, which makes us a harder out.
So after the layoff, UC gets 4 straight wins over the last 10 days. Here with me to talk about it is none other than the Hall of Famer, former Bearcat Terry Nelson. Terry, what's the secret sauce to this winning streak? What's working?
Guys are understanding their roles. When they put guys in the game, they know exactly why they're coming off the bench. They know exactly how to run the offense. Now they're getting better in all the options in the offense. You're seeing backdoor cuts. You're seeing, cross-court flares where their guys are coming off of screens and giving the ball. He makes a diagonal cut or diagonal pass, and then it's a dump down to Chris Vogt. They're protecting the rim better, not necessarily blocking a lot of shots. Chris Vogt did that in Friday's game versus Temple, but just rim protection, just being big, being tall. And then once that ball goes down, like the guards are really converging and getting that ball out. So you're seeing a lot of different things come together, especially the guards, because he's playing 4 guards and at times even 5 guards, but he's playing 4 guards. And when he plays that, they're grabbing the rebound and they're pushing it. And it makes it really hard on the other teams. We have big guys in forward positions. They're guarding 6'8", 6'9". If they don't get the rebound and the guards get it, UC is really pushing that thing and getting it out fast.
I don't know that a pause in play helps, but for a team that was reeling, it seems like it provided a bit of a reset. Do you buy into that at all?
There's some truth into having that reset when you think about guys really evaluating basketball and what basketball means in their life. Being an athlete, University of Cincinnati is awesome. There's no pro basketball team here, so it's us and Xavier. We're sort of the pro teams here, and you get a lot of love and adulation from fans. But when that's taken away from you for 3 weeks, you kind of prioritize, like, this is real. Basketball is life for a lot of people because since 5 years old playing in the YMCA, here it is now, and it's taken from you. You begin to start understanding that every possession means something. When you watch guys like Jeremiah Davenport, make a pass or hit a shot, and his enthusiasm, he's turning around, jumping up and down, and letting people know how engaged he is. And when you see, when they call a foul and everybody's jumping up and down, they can't believe it, but nobody's being disrespectful to the officials. They're just totally locked into getting defensive stops and making the right play and being unselfish and playing for one another. Yes, the COVID break had a little to do with it, but you also got to understand that, these young men want to be out there on the floor and they're showing it.
Terry, after what you've seen over the last 4 games, how confident are you that the Bearcats will not only be able to compete against Houston, but maybe even knock off one of the top teams in the country?
Anything's possible because the beauty of this is they're understanding the system. The system has been proven. The coach has won 3 championships in a row, 2 at NKU, 1 at UC. He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to coach a team, and it's about matchups. He's got the talent. You're seeing, like Madsen hitting threes, and you're seeing all that. So putting it all together against a team like Houston, being able to defend, get through the pick and rolls. They're playing a lot of teams that have taller players, so they're getting used to guys like, Houston. Houston built their whole team. Kevin Sampson built his team on the premise that he's got to beat UC. So they're in the weight room. They're getting stronger. His guards look like running backs. I mean, they're big, they're strong, they're powerful, they're speedy. They're one of the best because they have waves. He has a bunch of goons that come off the bench, and all they do is give 5 fouls. He's got 2 or 3 guys he puts in the game. He's going to put on Chris Vogt, just like he put on Gary Clark and Kyle Washington. Just beat you up, and then let the guards do their action. Well, Cincinnati sort of matches up well. The only thing that gives me pause playing Houston is how physical those guards are and how spacious or absent-minded Cincinnati can be at times when it comes to boxing out. When that shot goes up, they begin to start watching the ball. Jeremiah Davenport, as good as he has been, he gave up 3 offensive rebounds to close the second half, didn't play well defensively in that particular point. But he made shots. He did what he was supposed to do and rebound the ball. So he'll get better at that because those things, that's just the effort thing. So those things will get better. So I love JD's effort, and he's going to be key against Houston. Now, that's a week from now. Anything can happen in this COVID season. They could add a game. They could add a game on Wednesday. They could add a game on Thursday. So I know they're going to play. They don't play until a week from today. But because there is a break here, they can either use it to get better, or if another team is wiped away because of COVID, Cincinnati can add that team that they didn't play. Remember they had 6 games that were lost. 1 was made up, which was the Temple game. They still have 5 others that possibly could be added to the schedule.
Yeah, and Coach Brandon said earlier that it's trending towards not playing during the week, but he didn't want to rule it out. So we'll see what happens there. But in any case, Terry, I hope to talk to you again next week. And Xavier hit the court again after 2 weeks away because of the Rona coming up. We break down their performance against UConn, and Steve Wolf tells us who the key is to making the X engine go. Xavier back in action Saturday after the 2-week layoff hosting UConn. The team came out hot in the first 4 minutes, but went cold and trailed by 6 at halftime. Zach Freemantle led X on a second half 9-0 run en route to a team high 30 points. But the Musketeers had no answer on the defensive end. R.J. Cole led the Huskies with the team high 24 points. Nate Johnson tried to shoot the Musketeers back into the game late. His 3 cut the lead to 4 with 16 seconds left, but it's not enough. X falls 80-72. Head coach Travis Steele says it's on to the next one.
Be a quad 1 opportunity for our team here. St. John's is the hottest team in our league. I think they're 6-1 in their last 7 games. They're playing really, really well. Much different. They're a much different team than the team that we saw back on, I think it was January 6th here in Cintas Center. So, our guys know that.
So Xavier is now 11-4 this season. Fingers crossed about playing Tuesday at St. John's. But joining me to talk about his Musketeers is CBS Sports college basketball analyst Steve Wolf. Steve, another game, another extended layoff. What did you see from X in that loss Saturday?
From a fan standpoint, I saw that they got no help off the bench. I mean, they lost the bench war 41-13. I didn't feel like they played defense. I didn't think they played inspired. When the first team comes out and the second string comes in, they got to give energy, especially when you've had this long layoff. And, I thought, Freemantle was getting the ball inside and he was doing what he was doing, but we were just, kissing our sister on that one. It was, they make one, we make one. At the end of the day, I thought the guy that I praise all the time, and I think he's a true leader of this team, Paul Scruggs, was not the leader today. He looked out of sorts. Yes, he had 12 assists. I mean, that's awesome. But he's the leader. He's got to get some points, and he's got to sit there, take it, and drive to the basket. Other guys didn't get open shots because he didn't create. Kunkel and Scruggs need to create and get guys open. So that's my feeling as a fan. From somebody that's been around the game a lot and watching and also seeing and talking to players during this pandemic, I don't know what you do. You sit there for 20 some days. Everything you've worked on, you've got to change. Then they have guys that are playing now that didn't play, haven't played in the game before. And you saw some really good players for UConn. Don't take anything away from UConn, but Xavier didn't come out with any fire. They didn't come out with any purpose. And I don't know what you do as a coach, because I sure as heck wouldn't want to be in that situation, but it is hard.
You've been calling for Freemantle to be more aggressive inside. Game high 30 points. What did you like from what you saw from him?
Well, he started off 1 for 3 from behind the three-point line and then put it away. And he got inside. Zach Freemantle is a tough player. I think you heard yesterday them talk about how he needs to finish at the rim. He had a number of ones that he didn't finish at the rim, but I thought Zach Freemantle played his tail off, double-double, 15 rebounds, dominated that. The big thing is this is a team that needs all cylinders, and they have to have their leaders doing it. Now, you can look at it, and, Scruggs almost had a double-double, but he had 2 points, essentially with 5 minutes to go. So the 12 assists are great, but he's got to get other guys involved. He's got to get Kunkel more shots. How about that Nate Johnson? Man, I'd be looking for him every time down the court. They have scores. It's not the offensive end as much as it's a defensive end. And I think that's one of those things where you need some reps in practice, and you need to go over, the level of intensity.
Steve, with so much uncertainty from game to game, where do you see things going with the Xavier team that has tournament ambitions?
I have faith in the coaches, and I think that they're going to figure this out. If you really look at it, they're right in the thick of things. Villanova got blown out yesterday too by Creighton. So it's anybody's ball game. They need one good win. If you look at the Oklahoma game, it may not have looked like a stellar win back in the beginning of the season, but it looks pretty darn good now. And Oklahoma actually upset, maybe it was West Virginia. So I just think that you have to focus on what you can, affect. We can't affect the pandemic. We can't change that. We can only change what we do inside in the 17 or 18 coaches, managers, players. And you have to circle the wagons. Stop listening to all this stuff on Twitter. Forget about the excuses. Let's just go out and play some defense. Everybody can play defense. May not be quick. Defense takes heart. And that's where I think Xavier really excels. And I'd like to see Scruggs just put that away and say, hey, I passed the ball well. I didn't shoot the ball well. I need to do more on defense and just take over. Because I think he is the big factor on that team.
All right, Steve, thanks so much for taking the time. So I want to hear from you. Xavier hopes to string together some games and make a tourney bid. My question is simple. Will the Musketeers make the tournament? And how do you see things playing out? Tweet me at Reggie Wilson TV and make sure to use the hashtag SOAS. Well, it's almost time for Reds baseball. What can we expect from this year's club? We'll ask Mark Sheldon when we come back. Welcome back. Mikey Kirch isn't one of Elder's leading scorers, but he is one of the secrets to their success. Keenan Singleton has the story on the not-so-secret battle Kirch has nearly every waking moment of his life.
Mikey Kirch's highlights are the plays in the shadows. In basketball, it's the screens to free up a teammate, a rebound to start a fast break. Now the Elder junior forward is interested in assist. The role player strives to be a role model.
Maybe there's a kid out there who can see me and kind of see how I'm doing and try to be a role model.
Kirch has Tourette syndrome, the symptoms of the neurological disorder chronic motor tics.
When you have an itch that you just have to itch, and it's like, I gotta do it, and then you finally do it, and you get that second or two of relief, and then it comes back.
Tourette's has been with him as long as his shadow, says his mom, Jody.
Kind of done stuff for as far back as I can really remember.
Football and basketball have been along for the whole ride, too. The concentration he gets on the field of play helps stem the tics. The involuntary movements rarely affect him, says Elder basketball coach Joe Schoenfeld.
Somebody threw him a pass that happened to be in the middle of a twitch that just wasn't ready for, but the pass almost surprised me too. I wouldn't have been ready for it either.
On occasion, kids have been cruel, but Kirch and the fourth-ranked Panthers usually get the last laugh.
And let that affect him, and he just uses that as fuel to come out and come at you.
Most of the time we're beating them anyways, so there's not much for me to be upset about.
It's time to pass along what he's learned.
I think as he gets older, he does realize there's some responsibility to it to try to, help other kids out in the same situation.
Out from the shadows and into the limelight.
Like, I'm not going to put up crazy stats in basketball. I'm not going to do anything crazy in football. I'm just here to win.
Keenan Singleton, WCPO 9 Sports.
Thanks so much for that story, Keenan. Switching gears, get excited, Reds fans. The truck has arrived in Goodyear, Arizona for Reds spring training. Pitchers and catchers report on February 17th, position players on the 21st. Almost time to get off and running in the desert. And Reds beat writer Mark Sheldon won't be in Goodyear this year because of protocols, but he's kind enough to join me tonight. Mark, what's spring training going to be like this year?
It's going to be a lot different for media. It's going to be probably somewhat similar for players, and it's going to be different for fans for sure. I'm personally bummed out. I haven't not attended a spring training since 2001. So I've been to all the Red spring trainings going back to the 06 season, and before that, the Twins. And it's tough not to go when everyone else is going, at least the players and the staff and everything like that. I imagine for the players, it's going to be tough because I think a lot of their routine in some ways is tied to the facility, and that's all good and everything. But when they leave the facility, they're going to be kind of locked in. A lot of them, because of the daytime schedule, go to bed early anyway and stuff like that. But there are going to be players that won't be able to go out and relax or recreate with their families and things like that. They're going to have to kind of stay in and keep it pretty simple, kind of like what they did during the season.
Mark, how different will the Reds be in 2021 after an offseason where they didn't upgrade much?
I could see that it was not a dismantling of the team. They spent $166 million in free agents the previous offseason. They made all those trades this offseason before that. So was it an exciting offseason? No, but they still have a pretty good rotation. Any rotation that starts with Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray is a good place to be. Sean Doolittle could be a good closer. If not, Amir Garrett could be a very good closer. They can solve that problem. And they still, despite the way the last season went offensively, they have people in place that can hit the baseball.
I want to talk about the lineup, specifically the hole at shortstop. Freddie Galvis departs. What do you expect the Reds to do there?
That's a great question, and it's one I still don't have a full answer to. I have a hard time believing that the combination of D. Strange Gordon and Kyle Farmer and the Rule 5 guy Kyle Holder and Alex Blandino are going to hold down the fort until Jose Garcia is ready. I just feel like they will find a shortstop of some sort. A few years ago, it was Jose Iglesias. They signed him to be a utility guy, and then things went wrong with Scooter Gennett, and they had a shortstop. And I just see something's going to have to happen. I just don't see them rolling into a regular season without a set person at that position. But they lost out on all the free agents. They have yet to make a trade to upgrade that position. So I would not say that that's a TBA for the rest of the spring. I think they will find a guy, and it will be a regular type guy.
Is it reasonable to expect this team to compete like last season?
I think it is fair to expect the Reds to contend. And the reason why is the division is so weak. Every team lost somebody, whether it was the Cardinals and Colton Wong, and the Brewers and Ryan Braun, the Cubs and Schwarber and Lester, and the Pirates are clearly rebuilding. So there's plenty of room for the Reds to compete in this division. It may only take 85 to 90 wins to get there. These teams, these four teams that are all kind of there but not great, have a chance to beat each other up for a while. And I think the Reds can be involved. They just have to do the things that, like get off to a good start. They can't do what they did this past year where they really had to rally those last 2 weeks to sneak into the playoffs. They have to have a good year. This is going to be a 162-game season. They can't be left behind early. They need to really play and establish themselves quickly. But they have the pitching. They have some hitting. And even though they don't have a shortstop and they're missing some other stuff, they didn't make the big addition. There's plenty of room to do damage in the NL Central. I don't know if they have a World Series team. I don't think that's expected, especially with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Mets, et cetera. But in terms of just getting through the NL Central, it's there for the Reds if they want it.
Fans hoping for an exciting summer for the Redlegs. Should be a lot of fun to watch, Mark. Thanks so much for your insight. All right, we'll be right back to wrap up the show. Well, it's been real, it's been fun. It's been real fun, but we gotta go. I'd like to thank my guests Terry Nelson, Steve Wolf, and Mark Sheldon for joining me tonight. And thank you to my village who helped me put this all together. Thank you for watching. Let's do it again next Sunday. Until then, have a good night and a very blessed week.